Me 17 years old. Thought life was simple steady. School friends dreams all around. But one friend meant everything. His name was Dan, always there. We grew up side by side. Shared toys, secrets, food, and fears. Called him brother, not just friend. He never let me down once. Laughed with me when I cried. Stood up for me when needed. Nights spent gaming until sunrise. Days spent running through our streets. I trusted him with my life. Trusted he'd never let me fall. My sister loved him like family. Parents saw him as another son. I thought nothing could break us. Believed nothing could come between. We were a team forever strong. That belief carried me every day. I never thought it could end. Until one night proved me wrong. That night started like the rest. Streets, quiet, laughter in the air. Me and Dan joking, walking slowly. Talking about dreams and the future. He wanted to travel, see world. I wanted music and big stage. We promised to chase goals together. Promised nothing would break our bond. Then a turn into dark alley. Shadows moved, voices sharp and angry. A group of guys blocked us. Faces hard, eyes full of trouble. They demanded money, pushed my chest. I laughed nervously, thinking it's joke. But then one pulled out knife. Silver blade flashing under dim light. My heart froze, blood running cold. Dan stepped slightly in front, fast. His eyes locked, sharp and steady. Mine wide, filled with terror. I whispered maybe we should run. But my legs refused to move. Fear nailed me to that spot. And that moment changed everything forever. The guy waved knife in air. His friends laughed, voices echoing loud. My stomach twisted, heart pounding painfully. Dan didn't flinch, not one step. He shoved me back suddenly hard. "Run!" he shouted, sharp and loud. His voice cut through the night. I froze, confusion gripping my body. He yelled again, stronger than before. My feet finally started to move. I stumbled forward, almost falling down. Behind me, chaos started exploding. Shouts, curses, bodies crashing together. I heard Dan's fists hitting skin. Heard the scrape of shoes on ground. My chest begged me to stop. But fear dragged me down the street. Terror's blurred lights in my vision. My breath ragged, throat burning fire. Every step felt heavy with guilt. I wanted to turn back instantly. But terror chained me tighter than steel. I ran until lungs screamed inside. Legs weak, shaking, barely carrying me. I stopped, finally turned around fast. Alley far, but noise still echoed. Voices sharp, clash of bodies rough. My heart begged me to return. But fear gripped tighter, held me still. I pressed back against cold brick wall. Tried to breathe, but air felt heavy. Images of Dan filled my mind. His face, his shout, his strength. Tears slid down without my control. I whispered, please let him be safe. Please let this end without blood. But deep inside, truth stabbed hard. I knew danger was far too real. Knew this night would leave scars. Minutes dragged like endless hours slow. Each sound felt like final scream. I wanted courage but had none. I hated myself for running away. And still I stood frozen there. Finally the noise began to fade. Laughter replaced by a sudden silence deep. My chest tightened, dread crawling higher. I forced myself back toward the alley. Each step heavier than the last. My shoes scraped loud on the pavement. Fear whispered, don't look, don't go. But loyalty pushed me forward still. I turned the corner, heart racing fast. And saw him lying on the ground. Blood glistening dark under streetlight glow. His body still, his breathing shallow. My knees buckled, I fell beside. Grabbed his hand, shaking uncontrollably. Dan! I shouted, voice breaking apart. His eyes open, weak but clear. A small smile spread across lips. You're safe, he whispered, barely audible. My chest cracked wide from pain. I pressed his hand to my face, begging him to hold on stronger, begging him not to leave me. Sirens distant but far too slow. I pressed my jacket on his chest, hands slippery, trembling from the blood. Stay awake, stay with me, Dan. My voice cracked, tears streaming down. He coughed, weak breath shallow fading. Eyes locked on mine, burning deep. Don't cry, he whispered, soft and broken. His fingers weakly squeezed my palm. I screamed for help into the night. my throat raw from desperate shouts. No answer, only echoing silence. His lips curved in faint smile. "You must live for us both." Words sharper than any blade inside. My heart shattered glass in my chest. He exhaled, slow, eyes closing gently. His hand slipped from my grip. And in that moment, he was gone. My scream tore through empty streets. Darkness swallowed every piece of me. I shook his body, screaming louder. Begged him to wake up again. My tears dripped onto his face. But his eyes stayed closed forever. Cold night pressed heavy around me. Sirens finally grew louder close by. Red lights splashed against brick walls. Paramedics rushed, but it was late. They pulled me back from his body. My hands covered in his blood. I fought, then tried to hold him. "He's my brother, please save him." My voice cracked, broken beyond repair. One medic shook his head slowly. And I collapsed, knees hitting ground. My chest empty, nothing left inside. I stared blankly as they covered him. White sheet settling over his face. My cries echoed into the night. Everything around me turned into blur. The world lost color, lost sound. My soul torn apart completely. Police asked questions I barely answered. Words slipped, but nothing made sense. My throat dry, voice almost gone. They wanted names, faces, descriptions fast. But all I saw was din. His smile, his last words replaying. "Live for us both," pounding inside. I sat in back of car. Lights flashing outside windows blinding me. My hands shaking, covered in red. I rubbed them raw, couldn't stop. No matter how hard I tried. Blood felt burned into my skin. Officer spoke, but I heard nothing. Just my own heartbeat too loud. Just his voice echoing through skull. Guilt heavier than the night itself. My best friend, my brother, gone. Because he chose to save me. Because I ran when he stayed. I couldn't escape that truth anymore. That night replayed every second endlessly. Each detail carved deep in my brain. His shout, his push, his sacrifice. My footsteps running into the dark. While he stayed to fight alone. I hated myself for obeying him. Hated my fear that chained my body. Couldn't forgive leaving him behind there. Sleep never came, only nightmares constant. Waking up drenched in cold sweat. His face always the last thing. Eyes fading, smile breaking my soul. I whispered sorry into the pillow. Words empty, echoing back at me. No answer, no comfort, only silence. My chest heavy with crushing weight. I felt unworthy of my life. He gave his so I could breathe. But each breath felt stolen, unfair. Like living was betrayal to him. And dying would be my only justice. Days passed, but time felt frozen. House quiet, parents watched me close. They asked questions I couldn't answer. "Are you okay?" Became empty words. Nothing was okay, nothing ever again. His chair at our table empty. His laughter missing from our halls. Every corner of town held memory. Our favorite bench, our secret spots. Now they stab me like sharp knives. I avoided streets we once walked. Avoided songs we used to play. Everything reminded me of his absence. Friends reached out, but I ignored. I couldn't explain pain with words. Couldn't share weight too heavy inside. I locked myself in my room. Curtains closed, silence pressing me down. Nights blurred into endless crying hours. Days blurred into guilt and anger. My world collapsed into shadows only. I walked through school like a ghost. Hallways crowded, but I felt alone. Everyone whispered, but no one spoke. Their eyes heavy with pity sharp. Teachers offered soft words that hurt. I didn't want comfort, didn't need it. All I needed was my brother. But his desk stayed empty forever. His locker closed, dust slowly settling. I touched the metal, cold shaking. Memories of us laughing hit me. I pressed forehead against it quietly. Tears sliding before I could stop. My fist slammed metal, echoing loud. Students stared, but I didn't care. Anger and grief spilled everywhere inside. I whispered his name over and over, hoping he might somehow hear me, hoping he might come back suddenly. But silence swallowed every single word, leaving me empty in crowded halls. Nights became the hardest battles always. Darkness filled with his fading voice. Run, echoing through my skull endlessly. I jolted awake, drenched in sweat. hand shaking, chest heavy with dread. His last smile haunted my dreams. I kept hearing sirens in distance, kept seeing white sheet cover him. I begged my mind for silence, begged for one peaceful night's sleep. But guilt stabbed sharper than knives. My body weak, my spirit broken. I stopped eating, skipped meals for days. Clothes hung loose on my frame. Mom cried softly outside my door. Dad knocked asking if I'm alive. I couldn't answer, couldn't face them. Their eyes reminded me of truth. Reminded me I survived, he didn't. And nothing could ever change that. I carried his death in my chest. One evening, I walked aimlessly outside. Cold air biting against my skin. Streets quiet, shadows stretching too long. My steps dragged heavy without purpose. I passed the alley where it happened. My chest tightened, breath caught sharp. I froze, staring at the ground. Blood long gone, but memory alive. I saw him lying there again, his hand slipping from my grasp. My knees weakened, body trembling hard. I whispered his name into the dark. Voice cracked, breaking in the silence. My tears blurred the world around. I dropped to the pavement, shaking, palms pressed against cold concrete tight. "I'm sorry, Dad, I'm sorry." Words poured like flood from mouth. No answer, only echo came back. The streetlights flickered above, mocking me. My soul cracked deeper than before. I wandered further, lost in thought. City lights blurred through my tears. Every corner reminded me of him, our laughter still echoing in walls. I sat on a bench, trembling hard, head buried deep in my hands. People passed, but no one noticed. To them I was just another kid. But inside I was breaking apart. My chest burned with heavy guilt. His words repeated like endless loop. "Live for us both," haunting loud. How could I live with this? How could I carry two lives? My shoulders too weak for weight. I felt crushed beneath invisible stone. I whispered to the empty night. Begged him to give me strength. Begged him to forgive my fear. Silence pressed down like thick fog, leaving me with nothing but pain. Weeks passed, but wounds stayed raw. My body moved, but soul didn't. I skipped classes, wandered streets instead. Coffee shops became my hiding places. Music blasted through my headphones daily, trying to drown thoughts of him. But every song reminded me again. Every lyric felt like his voice. My notebook filled with broken words, scribbles of guilt and heavy sorrow, ink bleeding across crumpled pages. Nothing I wrote brought me peace. I ripped paper, threw it away. But pain clung like a shadow. I saw his face in reflections. Windows, mirrors, even puddles of rain. His eyes followed me everywhere silently, asking why I'm still here alive, asking why it wasn't me instead. And I never had an answer. One afternoon I met his mom. She hugged me, tears in her eyes. "He loved you like a brother." Her words stabbed sharper than knives. I wanted to collapse right there. Wanted to scream my guilt out. But I just nodded, stayed silent. She placed his photo in my hands. Den smiling wide, full of life. My chest tightened, breath stuck inside. "You must live for both of you." Her voice echoed his final words. My knees weak, vision blurred fast. I clenched the photo against my chest, tears streaming unstoppable down my face. She held me, whispering softly, gently. But nothing eased the crushing pain. I left her house feeling empty, carrying his smile like heavy stone, wondering if I could ever heal, or if I was doomed forever. Night still cut me into pieces. Dreams replayed the moment, non-stop, cruel. His voice yelling, "Run!" in my head. I woke screaming, gripping my chest. Sweat dripping, soaking through my sheets. My hands shaking, teeth grinding tight. I wanted one night of peace, but grief never let me rest. I walked outside under moonlight alone. Cold wind slapping against my face. Empty streets echoed every footstep loud. I whispered to the night sky, "Why him? Why not me instead?" Tears blurred the stars above me. My fists clenched until knuckles burned. I kicked trash cans, screamed in rage, pain spilling out with no control. Yet silence always swallowed it whole, leaving me more broken than before. I begged the sky for a reason, but answers never came back to me. Time passed, but guilt never faded. Friends tried reaching out for me, their voices soft filled with concern. But I pushed them all away. Couldn't trust anyone after betrayal of fate. Couldn't laugh without feeling guilty inside. Every smile felt like an insult. Because he would never smile again. Teachers asked if I needed help. I muttered excuses and walked away. My parents worried more each day. I heard them whispering late at night. "He's not the same anymore." They were right, I wasn't myself. I was a shadow wearing my skin. Hollow eyes, empty words, broken spirit. Carrying weight too heavy to bear. Carrying life that wasn't only mine. Din's dreams tied around my shoulders. His sacrifice haunting every single breath. And I didn't know how to continue. One day I walked to cemetery slowly. Steps heavy, heart pounding painfully inside. Carried flowers trembling in my hands. The sky gray clouds hanging low. I found his name carved in stone. My chest tightened, breath stolen away. Knees buckled as I sat down. Placed flowers gently on cold ground. "I miss you, Den," I whispered. Tears dripping, falling onto the dirt. "I should have been the one there." Words cracked sharp in the silence. I traced his name with my fingers. Each letter cutting deeper into me. Memories flooded louder than ever. His laugh, his voice, his strength. All ripped away in a second. I pressed forehead against the stone. Promising I'd never forget him. Promising his sacrifice wouldn't be wasted. Even if my heart stayed broken forever. Leaving the cemetery felt impossible heavy. My steps dragged as tears kept falling. People passed but blurred in my vision. I felt trapped inside invisible cage. Den's voice echoed with every heartbeat. "Live for us both." Cutting deeper. I wanted to obey but couldn't. My soul chained to that night. Memories clung like weights on shoulders. Every corner of city screamed his name. Every laugh around stabbed my chest. I envied strangers for their smiles. Envied kids running without heavy guilt. I returned home, face pale, empty. Locked the door, hid in shadows. Sat on floor clutching my knees. Whispered to myself over and over. "I'm sorry, Den, I'm sorry." But words no longer carried meaning. They dissolved into silence around me, leaving me hollow, broken, unfinished. Weeks turned into months of silence. I wandered through days without purpose. People spoke, but I barely listened. My mind lost in endless replay. That night carved into my soul. His last smile haunting every moment. I carried guilt like second skin. Heavy weight pressing me down daily. Some nights I sat by window, watching stars with tears in eyes. Wondering if he watched me too. Wondering if he blamed me still. Or maybe forgave me already inside. I whispered to sky for answers. Voice shaking, breaking with each word. But only silence came back again. Silence louder than any scream. And in that silence I realized I couldn't run from his memory. I had to face the pain directly, even if it broke me more. I started writing letters to him. Pages filled with my broken soul. Every fear, guilt, and heavy thought. I spilled onto paper every night. Words poured like unstoppable river. Sometimes angry, sometimes soft and begging. "Why you? Why not me instead? Do you forgive me, Den?" My tears stained the paper each time. Ink blurred, smudged, but still real. Those letters became my only relief. My only way to feel him near. I kept them hidden under my bed. A secret box of bleeding words. No one knew except the night. And maybe him if he listened. Writing didn't heal, but it helped. It gave my pain a voice. It kept me connected to him. Even as the world moved forward. While I remained trapped in the past. And now I stand here today. Older but scarred by that night. His voice still echoes in my chest. "Live for us both." Never fades. Some days I try to listen. Some days I fail, completely broken. But his sacrifice keeps me breathing. Keeps me walking through heavy storms. I carry his memory everywhere I go. In my laughter, in my silence. In every choice that I make. He lives through me in pieces. Even if pain never disappears fully. Sometimes I wonder what he'd do. If he were in my place instead. Would he forgive himself or not? And then I turn to you. What would you do if you were me? Would you forgive or carry it forever? Write your answer in the comments. And if you've ever felt pain like this, Leave a like so I know I'm not alone.